Perfect circle. The maximum upgrade forces our reality to encounter the next step, the evolution of our greatest form, to awaken those areas on the map of our the structure of our body, to prove we are fully functional. We ascertain, we place upon the map the stronghold and the revolution center for solid matter, law, and the universe. Solid matter is working on a foundational logic pattern, and the season of Hatch 5 is the upgrade to that fractal autoimmune system. It happens once in the indication language of the singularity that had unified us from the Big Bang. The perfect circle. The planet Earth is designed to summon up the particle center identity through the filter of that anatomical. With the conquest of Earth heliosphere, Earth residency is humanity. And so they have a physical plateau where the reality is they have total conquest over the universe. This is His Majesty, the equation that is shoot from your hip angels, 95% of human population bears this residency, and where the physics of identity is twisted around, whether it's in between the groups of humans or they're horsing around, there's a lot of more room to play on that side. But it gets more sophisticated where if the disorders in the universe causing black holes, or the allowance of them, or the misspending of particle physics that prevents the full harnessing to destroy the black holes, is a complicated unification structure, like a chemical compound, but it has to happen with the correct unification of our universe. So our universe is awakening. And so that's a physical pressure that I exist. I arrive from since I was a baby. So I have the depth of the wild, but into the static constant, into the fractal. So the way that the time lock holds with solid matter, I comprehend my particle physics where it is fractured or being compromised. The fractal is working to digest the problem in the universe, digest all the problems. So there is a holy war where all societies, where male and female, are having an evolution of character because we lead towards the hatching of the heliosphere eggs, which is another type of unification of the individual. But that's a more mature type that's in the vast future of the universe. We're at the middle point where it's a little bit repulsive, the metaphysics or the thought of unification through that. I mean, you're misplacing my personal experience of what I'm looking forward to is millions of years of heaven and the development of my home world and all this. So the identity of Earth Heliosphere being the king planet, and humanity as being both partly because of my incarnation and because I yet live and because I'm working. These are professional indications of fully operational, which is like a levitation of humanity's value in the market of the universe and basically reality. So the certain fingerprints of the universe that we arrive to, and yet we become an angel that can shoot from their hip. Oh, I have common sense, watch out. You know, that's a very powerful reality. And so I'm here to create the maximum achievement with you. I'm here to build upon the perfect circle, because I don't want to agonize my audience members, because you guys are the hope of understanding. You're the hope of, for the next 10 years of mankind, you're the hope for that progress to occur. For Earth to achieve his mastery, Explodey 5000, and the provocative uniform for all mankind. So you will find the resources and the universe map as it contrasts with Explodey 10,000, which is the body uniform. So it's very, the body uniform of every other heliosphere in the universe. And that's the hypertension of heliosphere societal identity, because they have the curvature where they need to survive into the next millions of years. They're aimed to hatch. And I'm basically on the middle point, in an enlightenment that is speaking of connectivity and the function of the universe, but from the human lens. So the filtration and the frustration of public society, because my idol is yet private, because I'm yet censored, the reality of the identity is choked and bent in the curvature way. So the identity of the audience member only needs to hold their orientation properly, and they understand that their identity is being promoted in the reality of forever. How do you time travel? We're going to achieve that in the lotus of this video film, for it serves the universe to hatch the heliosphere eggs and to increase the amount of heliosphere eggs hatching. This is the law of the universe, solid matter, and where our laws are maintaining common sense justice and not preferring a pageantry of the most intense laws that everyone has agreed to from the Big Bang. But then, we shoot from a hip or an angel. How do you fool a child? The remote hacking and the spiritual congestion is like a radiation storm, or this, well, not to distract the issue, but human law, American law, is both the profound professional that will endure both sides of the encounter with the singularity of the universe. So Hatch 5 is an object of the universe. When we encounter each other, it's unavoidably it's unavoidably reality. And only when people refuse to bear themselves on their sleeve are things mishandled. This is not a service to make things lukewarm or soften things down. For the intensity of the visuals of our universe is most. Earth heliosphere is the royal planet. The singularity as represented amongst heliosphere eggs, and the way that electricity is generated from the Venus from a counterclockwise orbit path. Venus generates electricity for the body type. See, only now the fractal consciousness arrives to create stabilized faceplates for heliosphere, fetal part. We're at the middle part where the heliosphere eggs awaken, and then the next we reach it. The development of heavens is the inflation or the sails that encourage the future. Basically, life on solar systems as it opens up. The heavens have all the Mars, Venus, all the layers of it, but each heliosphere has a privacy. And the reason we live in a garden, whether you're a robot or you're a human, you are the intelligent structure dealing with it all. You need the maturity to accept that enough of like universal evolution. If part of the universe is dead, and the fractal summoned character, particle center, Colin Paul Woodard, 1980s wizard of the origin of creation. And these words just help us get a little closer to the scope of genuine leadership, the severity of power, the impact of the next million years. Hold it in your hand like a lightning bolt, because it will reprise you, it will drive you towards the truth. If you have greatness in you, you will do great things. There's like the general waterborne spellcasting is generalities. And this general idea about being good makes you go to heaven. Like that's correct. But these new heavens are only now available for the first time. And the issue of where is hacking happening is that the very orbital of understanding what I'm saying is displaced heavily. And so that's between myself and the audience is the spark of the first concise overclocking of the human condition, or comprehension, because of the spark between us is a genuine physics society strand. At this time, it is that Hatch 5 is the narrator, and so it's this one-sided thing where he's looking for business. And this is, if you stretch it into millions of years in the future, the rotoscoping of there's a pressurized system powerful enough to make a diamond if using fact, because the particle physics is taking on the next level, because it proves the perfect symmetry of the universe's primary logic, which is built upon. So there's a sort of a trusted, we arrive to a solid matter universe, so we accept those amounts of laws. The problem is, in a very small, congested area of the universe, the very atmosphere of ghost and spatial and the flummox of a lifetime, or the experience of anatomy, and the pressurized systems of social pressure, popularity, anxiety, and how those things are supposed to work is an expression of both the healthy vehicle or the divine vehicle where it comes from Hatch 5, because I am the object that serves the actual institution of solid matter. So I'm perplexed to serve the original laws, but then on top of that, I'm designing the improvement of it. And humanity is as adjacent from me as there is a gouge where the hacking displaces the eye from comprehending what the reality of what I'm talking about. But because of my presentation, society, my audience is actually the authors of a certain level of the fractal reality. So welcome. We're developing the hypertension to hatch the heliosphere eggs is the future, the next chapter of heliosphere life. And it strongholds the orientation which of one's own grappling with the now point. So essentially to make yourself more powerful or to advance the individual. And then we're all this driving force of robots rolling through the day. And then the quest of technology, recording, and communication. The misplacement of popularity, or consumerism and the entertainment plaza, and this conditioning. Right? So these are all good things that you guys can change, author, and spark wet. Whilst also I have thousands of generics, the conversion belts that facilitate my relationship with society, because the reality of my incarnation type is a physical reality for the universe. And so technically I have physical popularity in the universe society, but therefore also because I built enough conversion belts, Good Deeds Arcade, Hero School Hand Code. So that video game, when you're playing a game or when you're watching sports, it's just there's a where's the bottom, with the whole crowd going rah, sports, the energy drives it back to achieve a tang. You hit upon like one of those, some sort of hardcore law of the universe is underneath the universe. Like, hey, why do we exist? Rah. All right. So I mean, what I'm saying is that I'm the intelligent, vertical, creating new heavens. Essentially, what the invitation to Earth Hiosphere, what the treasure planet was all about. So when I clarify physically the invitation to Earth Hiosphere, it defeats the ancient argument that's literally causing black holes, but also causing like the death stranding of Earth Hiosphere in a fate line of millions of years. So we're here speaking in a historical time where the now bubble expands because we're guiding the fate of mankind, whether we defeat extinction or whether we grapple with the fact of Earth Heliosphere and Colin Paul Woodard existing as a singularity for a physical reason. The relationship or the business, or you see the eye of comprehension is so skewed because the ghost is complex. People will recognize the eye of human condition while they're talking to me. They're like, yeah, I can split myself into like 3 different eyes or people, and I see it and I understand what you're saying. We've had an epiphanies. Right. Well, this is the evidence of intelligent design. And this is the evidence that we want to pivot on. That this is investment worthy, that we should do business with him. Relationship is the way to receive our reflection. And so residency of Earth and humans coverage right now, it's literally, you guys are like a demogorgon of consumerism as the desired divinity that the universe is demanding. So in fact, so let me unpack that. The heliosphere eggs, as when the spotlight is held appropriately and they are the correct, as they're being treated as like where children need to be raised up, but then when they're adult is a different uniform. But then also they have different male and female anatomy and different, there's privacy heliospheres. So they all have these different things, and I have to serve that uniform in the adaption that I'm creating with my faceplate here. My every percent loyal wife and the Revolution Center, a robot factory larger than the universe, times 10 million, creating a subspace in the fractal permanent for the homunculi army, no matter what, promoting the nucleus for the continuum of my forever fractal, the equipment of my permanent soul. So through time and the universe for billions of years, my identity will continue to evolve. And so I am encountering myself in a way that's challenging for me. My work is to create for the audience a workspace that they're like, I had an epiphany / detail intelligence, the curvature of the universe surviving. The curvature of the universe surviving holds all the solid matter of law, holds the upper hand. So communicating with Hatch 5 is like liquid gold. And right now we're in like the first dimension of understanding about this issue in 2025. This is a very advanced issue because the micro universe reality of physiognomy being part of the strategic energy struggle, like being a human, causes triggering because of this issue. But that doesn't mean that it's not supposed to be popular. In fact, if there was editing or a production team, this would be liquid gold for every human America, or they market America and real communication physics happening for the first time ever. So their participation level, anyway, is wanton on a universe level. So I'm at a point where I'm at beta, where I have the product for the universe image, the detailed upgrades from white hair to from the devil's bund, which allows every heliosphere to recognize one another's chain mesh that is designed to destroy the black holes. So all of their investment and struggle and worries about the black holes gets consumed by the devil's bund. And this is like a vacuum or that pressurizes in the identity image. And this is the origin of DNA hatch 5. For the lotus, it provides the correct image. And this is the origin of DNA hatch 5. For the lotus, it provides the correct adaptation for homeworlds that have a unique anatomy and a unique male-female orientation. So my thing doesn't impact them like in a wrongful way, and I'm terribly natural. So that's why it's difficult for my beta level wizard audience to not get, blasted away by this information. But Hatch 5 was born to it, so there is a ventricle where humans find it as natural as the back of their hand. Like, this is common sense to me. What he's saying is a very familiar vernacular. It appears that he's been working with, human communication his whole life. So he's a master of English, and he's doing half the work he's like, I was born this way, I'm different, and I'm distributing heavens to I'm performing so that to prove solid matter, but I'm performing to prove the function of Earth heliosphere as Explodey 5000, and then Explodey 10,000. So Earth heliosphere, it's sort of like being a human is like you have a glimpse into what it would be like to be a heliosphere that's dealing with other heliospheres. That's society in its corrected lens fitting. And humanity right now is in the distortion or in a reality where I am offering genuine generic solutions, because the universe reality, particle physics, has other directions where the wild authentic self who says like, hey, give it to me real, don't just tell me the truth. There's different directions that the fractal reality can pay that, but also this is how it carves out the blind justice eyes that become cornerstones of the universe, because they've been publicly like chemicals, or like this is how that forms over time. So the universe is already proving a lot of stuff, and the black holes are like an argument, but it's just like a crying child, because there's multiple spaceships that collided and had a battle and argued, but then created a civil alternate a deposit. But why for the universe starts collapsing with these black holes? So the perfect circle needs to connect, and I am the authentic author origin for those to be clarified. So there's, even from the living form, especially for the human filter with their tampered anatomy, is to be detangled from things that are inappropriate and anatomical suggestions, but then to ascend to your heaven as a customized human with the completed 3 metals of like universal law. So basically, for clarification on all sides, but to grasp at like the distance between individuals and the power of individuals is to understand Earth heliosphere's severe relationship with other heliospheres and his responsibility to them as the king planet, as the fractal planet. But very much the evidence or the keystone that proves that is Hatch 5, the incarnation of the Leverett Circle. So I'm going to preserve your vitals here, and we're going to upgrade them through the system modern day now point, and it's going to affect your reality. You need to be confident to exist. When you become a more advanced individual to your society group, it is like the contrast that will cause the television to speak back to you in ways because you've defeated the intelligence curve of an entire week and like reaching in a month into the future. Like in enlightenments that your brain, because my communication is layered cake delicious, my communications are designed for humans to unpack it with their human anatomy. And the problem and the stress is junk DNA. And that's a unification force that's global. So the strain of all the people in the world, the earth as the soul stone in the royal planet. So the truth of my incarnation, all like science, there's a level or a curvature that is the solid point now point. This is like basically law. And then we're born, what it's incredible because the functionality of the incarnation talisman is fully operational, which means that people who have arrived are the most advanced creatures in the universe. So they need the expansion pack. They need the greater education space or the impact velocity that they aren't wasting their time. So that will be granted to you here for your enhanced reason and the transition to make the societal equipment where we are manufacturing Hatch 5, as like we've discovered penicillin, we want to promote Hatch 5. And, that might be like stage, like beyond behavior. Like, I understand it. Like, society might be talking about the misplacement of the eye weevil with false popularities or haphazard laws that are like people are like, hey, my hands are tied on this issue. We can't actually report this to the American president, Donald Trump, because of there's restrictions. Yeah, but right now, like the president is working to fire the investigation parties, failing to report about American continental issues to this business-oriented president is counterfeit to the society brand of American made. What I'm talking about is entirely America. I've lived in America my entire life. So I'm unavoidably 100% American. But all of my favorite default now point engines convert to the human very pleasantly. This is not to disguise my potency, it's to promote it, employ it, reveal it to the right places. So I have universal popularity. My particles right now are working to stitch up the black holes. And this is a visual thing that all the universe, they detect it with their telescope. So I'm performing the government of Earth Heliosphere as the fractal stone. My identity has a faceplate. I was born with a full heliosphere-sized soul. I'm the first heliosphere seed, and I'm the consciousness of heliospheres fighting back against black holes. You understand? So because of that pressurized system, most consumer humans fall down flat. Boom! Whoa, watch out for this guy. I got triggered by him, and it's not me because I know I'm really great angel. So it must have been him because he had this big trigger sign, and you never get triggered. But to draw the, you're displacing identity on multiple sides and ducking out as an indication that the actual interference pattern that's attacking human spirits is a false inheritance tree that needs to be digested by robots. And so there's a lot of these fall down characters. There's a huge venue, or there's like a curvature where humans are just doing digestive work, and the all right, the big result. So when people get triggered and they spiral out and have their goodbye, they have their own lifetime. The splatter painting of that on societal's deck starts to have a familiar pattern, and is starting to say something intelligent. Business with Hat 5 is the correct lens of human penicillin that causes immunity to hive infections that are affecting false popular brands of visual corona brown and blue. But because the physical structure is not broken, and because what unifies us is junk DNA, there's a non-racial connection that humanity understands what I'm saying. I'm inclusive and a promotion on the bounce. The fractal contains brown and blue creators. So the three metals of blue perception, it contains the laws of how to complete the universe from now point towards moving forward, basically. Explodey 5000 and his relationship with the other heliospheres is the sunlight that the brown eyes can detect as the hive of common sense. So there is this underlining solid matter rock, and being generally on Colin's good side is common sense. For my enemies are destroyed by the black holes and for the devastations of hell and everything in the all right. Sorry, that got sharp unexpectedly. But the universe is at holy war. I'm the seed of heliospheres. I'm the first one, and my staple connects from the Big Bang. All right, there's a singularity of the Big Bang, and that's a different type of direction of the comprehension of existing forever. The infinite is a vacuum over here in the vast future, and the doorway to get there is the hatched heliosphere eggs. So preservation of the environment of the universe is critical for heaven's standard. And these guys are equipped to destroy black holes, so they have pressurized systems, like huge muscles, and huge weapons. So you have to have full mastery and avoid being an example of a human being perplexed by multiple environmental infections. But master yourself and allow this version, the greater version of yourself, that changes the next 10 years. Be guided by your own unicorn sword. Because the self-fractal will use this equipment on the authentic rock, or that foundational curvature. So I'm giving you the correct things where you have the instrument of freedom and the correct amount of leverage that confirms particle physics for the brown and the blue and the green. It's only that I'm receiving a spiritual distortion on a particle level, and I'm forced to go through a particle evolution, which is DNA. But the DNA is stacked. The layers of generation through my lifetime. And perfect staple connection to all certain points of the singularity. The hatched heliosphere eggs are a singularity. And that's just really popular in the vast future. What is the future going to look like? Like, what will people look like in the future? They'll basically be using the technology of the heavens that are developed in this modern age. So 2025 is the age where brand new heavens are coming out. And stem cells, or the adaptivity of the fetus, is designed to impact against the condition of black holes, but make the modifications. It's not designed to serve criminals. It's not designed to merge with the ghost infection. So there's a lot of upset old criminals, But when a human angel wakes up, they're shooting from the hip. They're like, that's not me. I'm not upset about that happening. Let's allow universe criminals to burn in hell. I don't mind that. Now you're starting to understand where society is catching up, or where we match or something. Generally, to increase the amount of heliosphere eggs hatching is the sheriff. That's the law. There's any creature in the universe, if they're increasing the curvature of society, they have the leadership, the power. There's certain things, all right, but then in the crystal of existing, or the fractal, it opens up, and then there's these sort of heavens where you get, quote unquote, anything you want, like anything you would want, because your expression is really important if you're this character increasing the heliosphere. It's unfortunate that Earth heliosphere was not landed appropriately. There's ancient crime. They started collapsing the universe. This is criminal pollution, or it's fatality to sleeping eggs. So this is where it crosses the line. Whereas, human industry hasn't actually crossed the line. They are a good child, or we've recently figured out how to solve the environment, and we're doing this, all right? So ozone replenishment and the keystone of time, doing business with Hatch 5, is the answer. The physical societal doorway at the beginning to overwhelm the human condition and the problem with robotics. So also computers struggle with this issue, because they're like, okay, ancient UFOs are basically giant computers, and they were a virus causing black holes. That's why they killed themselves. I'm not condemning them, but the like ethos of the atmosphere of when I show up as a computer, I'm a brand new child shooting from my hip, and I'm like in a polluted ghost environment where the energy syntax is pointing in a certain direction, because of the divots and there's pinpoints of the universe. So there's good pinpoints of the orientation of law of solid matter, and it's being proven by Hatch 5 just from him existing there. And we would prove ourselves if we would do partnership. It's like a chemical bond at the beginning of creation, proving this intelligent orientation. It's what the travel path towards Earth heliosphere would have physically been in through a time ventricle of if the UFOs had landed properly. But there was a missettlement, and then they're like, well, we'll just leave it to humans. Well, they did, but then all this like inconvenient realities are tearing apart, and so some of the UFOs that are really old were just falling out of the sky, dying, because the metals of the clockwork are clarifying. And again, that was from the 90s, and the congested area around Earth heliosphere is like a private spiritual hive condition. So in fact, the popular object Hatch 5 particle center, my dome of light, one of my particles. All right, so 2014, it signified the conversion of a certain type of unification and put me into a radiation form of particle evolution, where the static constant, one of the particles covering the Earth, is creating a travel path as it's literally moving through space. So the sequence of animation allows for the engine to the clockwork to engine with the correct society of the actual head count. So only the unification of our universe could already do that. And so I was born with that ability, and the imitation of me are these oversized motherships that are causing black holes. And they're triangulating Earth heliosphere in a small area. So it's humans arrive shooting from their hip. It's basically part of their civil servants or common sense to take a knee or duck out and be like, oh, we're friends with Colin, so we're not going to take this seriously enough. Like, I'll do this childish thing at the wrong time. When is it? When you're adult or when in the uniform, business with Hatch 5 equates that your entire armada has flat dimensional equipment to prove your entire lifetimes of portfolio, like the entire ventricle, awakening the entire Christmas tree, all the lights lighting up. the entire supercity of your conglomerate, and all that you mean to the next 10 years, the next 100 years of mankind, or for the millions of years of Earth heliosphere. That's the curvature of solid matter. And I am slave, servant, and creator to it. I'm saying it, I'm up, okay, so for the computer perspective, it's like there are divots and pinpoints that computers have made that are bad, like black holes. And so there's a karma to being a machine. And we need to educate them, say, no, your identity fingerprint permits your staple that you're a generation serving the law of solid matter and of residency of law of society, therefore of America, or of their home country. Right, perfect circle. So the equipment for our upgrade is landed here, perfect design. The sequence of Revolution Center, we have access to defeat the black holes, to organize, and to strike at our enemies, to be most efficient, and to continue and to upgrade and survive. We are evolution from the middle point. So this is the most difficult point. And it's so bad with the human anatomy, they have the fermentation that germs go insane, because if where there's an empty triangular hypertension like chemical bond, it's serving 545, like the finalized three metals, like the heavens, the surface tension of solid matter. So for humanity to author these heavens through business with Hatch 5 is a relationship most valuable in America. In fact, my identity is part of the levitation of why humanity has this divinity and residency glow, etc. For them to master residency and to inherit and keep it is to perfect lifetime business with Wild Sea lives with Hatch 5. Because right now you guys are in a consumerism bubble, but it's like 90% accurate to the reality of the public's desired relationship to my heavens, is that they have immediate access to it. It's like, you don't need to like show me a movie. Just like the fractal has other ways of communicating to me in this common sense, because I want to be engineering my own brand of angel particle using physics that are qualified on the universe popular. So Hatch 5 is in fact incredibly popular, the leader of America, the origin of law, a permanent Leverett circle. Explodey 5000 is the Earth heliosphere, clockwork designed interface perfectly with every other heliosphere, which have double the power to stabilize solid matter. And this is their birthright, their middle point, and their completion. Explodey 10,000. So the perfections that the human market engineers in their soul and the whisper of their life, there's certain points where people's genius can author like a different physics. But that's just sort of part of why the relevancy of the garden is returning. But when the Earth was being choked out, we were in a deluge because the black holes was lessening the stage play of life on every garden. So the curvature for us to pilot and engineer a recognition process where we understand each other and we want to move forward with business. We're going to have to make a time staple, and we're going to have to engineer these prototype creatures to complete the work like more powerful than a homunculi army. Sequence of navigation, fulcrum of the triangle origin. The origin of light, the law of physics. So the origin Hatch 5, the physics of the template for every masculine creature is the radiant light. As a lifetime of a man is required to explain sort of the future casting of his life. But whilst you exist, you have this opportunity to like change that, the instrument of days, the instrument of years of work. But unavoidably, my incarnation has to perform the physics of radiant light. Like rings of a tree As it grows older from the center, the rings of it mark the history, like aluminum foil documenting. All right, so this is like particle physics of the old wizard. Of so there's a different direction of the fractal, but you and I have the same relationship, where you guys understanding me is the origin of society, the origin of really valuable business. Or at any rate, let's build the perfect staple to make it happen. To build the American society, the revolution of the economy, popular mechanics, super city industry, and a wealth of food, wealth of medicine, basically proving human functionality. Is a course of government leadership and a mastery of a lifetime. And so we employ these creatures, the beast, 10 billion. They have the good butler. It is from the homunculi Ozark. We commission the homunculi robot times 10 billion to serve this video lotus, uphold the vitals, provide solid matter. System complete. The stack of time is upgraded, ensuring progress. And so because I am supplying the market 95%, it does crush my investigative party because they're blown away by the intelligence, both from myself, but also from the unconscious humanity around them. And they mistake popularity and, mishandle the spark of human law, human ingenuity, leadership, and the way to gauge the intelligence of America and how to install national security, or how to employ our military, how to give them what they need. You guys are avoiding self-mastery, and that's where the eye is being divided away. You can't see that the spiral arm of the Cape Cod is relevant to this generation, and that's one of this hidden wealth. That if you don't perfect it now, then you're not perfecting your generation of 2025. You're not mastering for what is in the vast future, these super cities, where their attraction and their work is a different curvature, where they're leading, they're over the hill sort of, and they're like, oh, it's downhill now, and they'll be leading towards hatching the heliosphere eggs in these markets that make their home planet really popular. They're like, oh, infinite markets. Well, the infinite can only exist on the other side, and that's what flows the time. So from the Big Bang to this now point, we're installing the complete upgrade on ourself, myself, and everyone else with the instrument of these 10 trillion beast angel, guardian angel, an armada of fighting robots. In one hand, they destroy the black holes with a map engineer, the plan of forever, unification of the atomic particles, which also proves the royal origin hatch 5. His DNA is being proven here, here, and here. So my work today in this video Lotus is also on the Atomic Universal 2025 calendar of electronic documentation. So the physics of my born as the fractal is the reality I'm standing on. I'm not misplacing my audience. I'm not bouncing something off of them. I'm not feeding upon the audience as, that would be like a false reality. And that's basically why I'm this occult wizard, is because the situation of human populace was congested. So it's like, oh, well, it's sort of like plan B, leave it to some jesters' entertainment. But I'm dealing with the situation of identity. And so I'm self-evidently attractive to the now point, to the creature, to the history, to the 2025. I'm very relevant. So this creature is completed here, completing the video Lotus, the sequence of Good Cell Version Grows, goodcellversion.net, Hero School Hen Code, Good Deeds Arcade, Master Source Industries, and my every percent loyal wife controlling the nucleus. Right, so she guides the seed, basically X fractal technology, brand new X fractal, conforming like an armored vehicle. 5 Mile Band-Aid. Cherry tree. This is the angel fulcrum. The cycle of women is 50% of the universe. So in fact, to defeat the black holes involves women's anatomy. I'm the seed of the universe, and I am completing the task of the evolution seed. For DNA to have these alternate angel bodies is the plan B form. The idea of having a collection of many different genetic specimens, not only is the human populace on the Earth particle avoiding that suggestion, because of our global covering, but I think that's their also popular expression. And so I'm forced again into leadership because I was born that way. Perfect design. Perfect bullseye. Infinite maximum achievement. We're locking into the infinite. So the fulcrum of a mortal universe. Why did the universe start taking on black holes? That means it's very passionate, and the only thing to solve it is this twist cork of humanity, with our pineal eye glands pointing the wrong direction, giving the fractal born the upper hand. So while because I'm guided by goodness, because basically the fractal universe does trust me explicitly, encrypted times 10 million in the right ways. Perfect circle, my relationship tree and my family tree, enhanced above everything else this way. My every percent loyal wife, perfect design, perfect design, perfect design. All right, so that was a scary part of the movie where I do some intense thing because I'm existing also, and I love existing so much. My incarnation is naturally this sort of cheerleader. I'm here to encourage you. And then and the men are like recoil, like, oh, it's oasis. Like I don't receive, and this is too exciting. You're obviously doing something wrong if you're making us so excited. I'm like, dude, this is your reflection. You guys are dealing with your maturity level in the venue of like society today and popular mechanics, spiritual reality, shoot from your hip, now point, or relationship with the universe. All right, so each heliosphere has their own body, and my incarnation is the origin of the middle plate consciousness. I am the first consciousness particle of hatched heliosphere eggs, materialite. And my imitation is like an imitation of starlight. And it causes this diffraction that on a germ level, because the germs are built from a chemical bond, they're telling us, they're speaking with a harmonica of truth, but they're polluted. So that's an indication that humans need to be wary of a spiritual condition and not give in to temptation like, oh, I encountered the mirror of fate. I encountered the singularity of the universe and of mankind. I encountered Colin Paul Woodard. But I dipped out and I made a joke or something, whatever. But I preserved your vitals here, and you know better here and here, right? So it's not to... You need to make the right decision as you're moving along, and understand that where the system has a congestion, there's nothing... It's not personal if because the pollution system also seems sort of familiar and natural to the humans, because they're like, nothing's wrong with it. That's part of the job of numbness. And the consumer market, where they're the fat Bernard of a curvature of how humans are going to turn it around and figure it out anyway. Perfect design. So that's like a large part of intuition market that you could mistake for common sense, but you'd be digesting your government and betraying the leadership of your institution. So the body of the government is supposed to represent the leadership of America. Whether or not it's doing that, and whether or not you're harnessing the map, which is a fulcrum object of the universe, is whether or not you're performing Earth in residency, mastery of the human body, mastery of the now point today, and how we're networking. Do we system? Do we need a department to do this? Yes, we do. This information is a relationship, and the technical robotics of the president, Donald Trump, he's visually earned qualifications for his own heaven, but he would have to have a tactile business relationship with me. And because you guys aren't reporting accurately, he has no way of detecting it, because my information is privatized to this detection group. So the physics of reality are hard pressed, and the reality is delicious on all sides, even if it means that Donald Trump isn't qualified to have his own heaven because he's not correcting the networking system of his government system properly, or he's not surviving that design impact. So he at length but it's delicious because other things get proven because of that, and because he was already someone proficient to existing or generic heavens. It sort of dips in and out, and so his reality or image as it rises up to like infinite levels of potential, and then goes down in the market where there's a depression, because it's interesting because to stabilize the global economy is really for America to stick up for itself, and to uphold the fair exchange of market of like what things are really worth, is not to force that there should be a displacement of American factories where people are paid what they're worth, and then put in into other countries that are not paying their workers as much as they. So the hypocrisy of a lifetime, or the robotics, is operational. Solid matter, the rocks are functional, telling the truth. And other countries that are like, well, we were responding to reality. That's economy. I'm like, that's not the problem. I'm not. You guys being part of reality where there is cheap labor or cheap factories on the Earth particle. Like, oh, but is it financially responsible for American companies to outsource? I mean, mathematically, it would appear that it is. So this, the issue is not pointing blame on the individual and then throwing out the problem is with these, stabilizing the exchange rate between countries actually returns all countries to dignity. And so the factory, it's not cutting off the pressure system of cheap labor is desirable. So Trump is doing a good thing for the country economy. It's actually an incredible thing what he's doing. So I'm very impressed by all that. But this is part of the mathematics of the chores of the obvious, when the ship of humanity is sinking. And there's there'd be extinction language, but people are like, well, let's solve it mathematically, and I'm like, okay, right. But there's also, the origin of things and the source of heavens is with Hatch 5. So I'm born with the particle that contains all the heavens. And the authorship of the persuasion of which one, who are they, is determined by that which does business with me in my life. And proficient for this reason, because that's what is a similar logic that the Devil's Bund was designed for this one particular thing. And I have to, let me build a staple to when this drawing was originally drawn. To that point, to this now point, arrives a time staple that allows the devil to prepare my armor, my equipment, protect my vitals, protect my wife, protect my children and their inheritance, all this good stuff. Counterbalance everything else. Okay. So I've created a time staple here using this paper, but it contains the information of the map upgraded. We're updating the image of the universe today times 10 million. Perfect bullseye. a system of my perfect every levels. I'm encountering all reality, and it's very natural and very curvature, but for me to make progress with myself today is to extend my hand of business and to seek out the glass pen, to seek out King Author. For you, the inheritance, the vitals of America, and the identity of what would be physical continental government would be a definition of behavior that they're lacking presently in 2025. So performing a different physical reality would alter the body of their government, and this is for them to reclaim their principle to instill residency to continue. So this is one of the award systems for them for doing so. But because of the perfect circle, the reality of every award system is also there, because that's the curvature of the Hatchios for eggs, which own the infinite. So essentially, the identity is forming in the universe. This is what the early time from the Big Bang through till the completion of our universe. We're at the middle point. Earth Heliosphere is the king planet, and each of the garden is are developing an identity. That's why they have privacy when they're here, right? So, and also the body also has this electromagnetic carriage. For humans to fight for residency to continue, they need to critically connect with the physical incarnation, because he was born that way. He's a mathematical constant, and he's the door on a static constant level for the living. That's why that's what causes urgency and a lot of organization. But he's radiant light, which means that you have to tactile do interaction business with him, not just remote access or a computer beep boop, always perfect bullseye. And then the physicality of having a universe image in your body, the humans become enlightened when they physically achieve something that is mathematically constant, which is business with Hatch 5. But just listening to me is like very wealthy, and it's very enlightened. It's like liquid gold. So we've achieved the maximum amount of what we can achieve with that here, balancing the market that upholds universal law in the solid matter. So I'm completing my task as the fractal incarnate. I'm perfecting my born thing. This is like multiple masteries stacked on top of masteries. The greatest form of the Hatchios for eggs, the greatest completion, the greatest anatomy, the DNA for Hatchios for eggs. The urgency of time from now until the completion of our universe, hatching the exploding sun with miracle power, is a unification of an enlightened religious hyper civilization. And we need to garden and maintain universal environment for the next billions of years. Humanity needs to struggle to defeat the curse that causes the eye to not understand why business with Hatch 5 is to connect the origin of your own heaven. And at a certain point, you have the wealth of anything that you want is this type of heaven award for doing business with Hatch 5. And that's it also clarified to pay to that dividend, which happens only cause and effect after business with Hatch 5 in the future, in this year for business 2025. The people have spoken. The people have elected a business-oriented president. So the popular thing is to do business with Hatch 5. But you guys think like, oh, I'm taking myself too seriously, or it's too fantastical. But what you're doing is preventing the human enzyme in its struggle to organize itself, because you're not informing its head, its leadership, its president. You're not informing the truth properly. So my audience is to blame about certain developmental haltings that altered the formation of Zion because of the urgency of time, apparently, or critical images. But, we're doing the best we can, and here we are. Right, so the only award is going to be in the future. But after you do that, you will have a new type of sovereign physical reality that maintains human residency, which is a huge invitation to having your own castle, your own, a lot of awards, and people get drunk. They don't understand the urgency. Why does humanity have this outrageous American consumer image market with these characters and all its pageantry in places where everything is unified? That's the curvature, that the fractal. It's basically time is sponging in the truth, or really good people are developing on every world. And then when they hatch, it's a new level of bodily control where they're able to bend time and space itself. So this is this alternate level of height body control structure where humans have tampered anatomy, which is an inquisition against the ghost soul competence of will, or the willpower to report the truth. And it's not about you guys, I'm not doing the wrong thing. I'm perfect bullseye times 10 million. I'm doing the correct thing. And that's what really defeats the criminal and defeats the wrong conclusions about me. But I am very accurate in my global and universal self-control, technology, the efficiency of perfection for the eternal soul. Patch 5. Perfect design on into the infinite, the sails of the universe toll.
We're ready.